Here you go.
Hey, everybody. Thank you so much for being here tonight. Really appreciate everything you're doing to bring this pilot to life. And I think it'd be wonderful I'll invite each person just to say hi and tell us about the lake that you're going to be shepherding or supporting this year. So I'm Becky Saul. I'm one of the co-chairs of Lake Lovers. Mary, have you introduced yourself or do you know everybody on the call?
Yeah, your host, Global Waterworks, just thrilled to see this action happening. So here to support you.
Perfect. Paul, can you go next, please?
Paul Spiewak, Countryside Lake. I'm anxious to see this thing. It's like a snowball rolling down a mountain, getting bigger all the time and getting better all the time. We are powerful. We're going places.
Yay. Awesome. Gerry, go ahead.
Gerry Munley, Loch Lomond. I'm not sure
Awesome.
about snowball. I think it's really like a dam breaking and water rushing down.
Okay, that works
Not
too.
an algae bloom.
And Gerry, you're helping with Loch Lomond as well as one other lake, St. Mary's, right?
In Mary's.
All right, so you've got a 2-for-1. I love it. Okay, Tom, would you like to get off mute and introduce yourself, please? You're on mute. Can you unmute yourself? Go ahead.
Go. Okay. Tom Morgan, I live on Redhead Lake, on the chain of lakes. And I'll be testing Fox Lake, Pistake, and Redhead Lake. Out
Fantastic.
here on the chain. And
Beautiful.
we have, just as of yesterday, the pelicans arrived, so.
Great.
And
I
they
love
are
it.
feeding voraciously.
Excellent. Maybe you can get a picture and send it up in the chat for us to see
Sure.
that. Gloria, go ahead.
Gloria, Long Lake.
Thanks, Gloria. Diana?
Diana Bush. I'll be working with Cedar Lake and the Friends of Cedar Lake.
Excellent. Good to see you. And it just says Mazeppi, but it's Buzz or Robert or Bob.
Either one. Friends, Catherine and Channel, Northern Chain of Lakes, are the two lakes we're testing.
Love it. Great to have you. Sandy, go ahead.
Hi. I used to live on Loch Lomond, so I was assigned to that to help out. And
Wonderful.
so I live now in Libertyville, so we were going to maybe work a little bit at Butler Lake.
Okay, awesome. And John?
John Schuster with Prairie Crossing Homeowners Association Lake Management Committee, and I'm supporting Adina Ott, who is our technical lead for measuring on Lake Leopold and associated ponds.
Excellent. And Debbie?
I'm Debbie, Mom. I think I'm doing Long Lake.
Excellent. Thank you for helping out there because I know
Yeah.
Gloria, we needed some support there. So thank you, Debbie, for saying yes to that. And Adina, I know you're joining us from vacation. Thank you. You're welcome to turn on your camera and giving you the floor.
Okay, hi, this is Adina. I'm with Andy. I don't know how to turn my camera on because I'm using my phone, but I'm next to a freeway in Las Vegas. So I probably won't say much. I'll just listen.
Thank you for being with us, and you're doing Lake Leopold.
Yes.
Fantastic. Okay, so today in our agenda, and if everyone wants to click on the chat, you can see it. We're just going to regroup exactly what are we planning to measure. There's core measurements that we want every lake to capture. And then based on the lake management plan, there might be something unique or multiple things unique to that lake. We want you to get those as well. We've had folks working diligently on fine-tuning our cheat sheets to use the equipment. So we want to make sure that everyone knows where to find those. Our plan is to have those laminated and with the equipment when we start doing the measurements next week. And then we have proposed the schedule based on people's availability of how we can get these 12 lakes to be measured in a 7-day calendar. So we want to take a peek at that. And then most importantly, giving each of you time. If you are assigned to one of those 12 lakes, do you have a comfort level in where you'll be picking up the equipment, what's being asked of you, how has it gone? Everyone was supposed to reach out to the colleagues at your lake and schedule your first monitoring. Maybe you've even scheduled into April, so we want to just check in on that. And depending on how that goes, if we still have some time, Paul has been at some conferences. We've spoken at the Illinois Lakes Management about this pilot program. We can talk about that. We've also made, due to Mary's heroic efforts, a Google map to start bringing this effort in the pilot to life so that it can be transparent. So we want to make sure you're comfortable with that. And just take questions. So, Paul, why don't we start with you grounding us on the core measurements with the ProDSS and the photometer, as well as the extra things, and maybe showing our field data collection sheet if we have it ready. And then, Gerry, if you're comfortable, I know you've been working and collaborating on the cheat sheets. So, Paul, to you.
Okay, thanks, everybody. A couple of these conferences, one of the analogies they made, which is a really pretty tight analogy, is when you go to the doctor to get a blood test. So when you go to the doctor to get a blood test, the doctor doesn't order every single blood test he's ever heard of. He orders just the ones that maybe it's an A1C, or maybe it's all the other things, blood sugar or something like that. That's the same kind of thing we're doing. We're taking the measurements, the critical measurements of the lake health. And so we're trying to balance between simplicity so our volunteers can use their time efficiently and purposefully and effectively. And we're trying to balance that along with getting enough data to really describe the condition of the lake. So Gerry and Jim have primarily worked on this field data sheet. It started out with Jim Bland's form, and then they worked together, and Gerry did a really fantastic job getting that sheet in a really nice form. So here's the measurements we're going to, I want to add one other thing. So we were, Becky and Mary and I were all and Jim Bland also, at the Illinois Lake Management Association annual meeting in Northbrook. It just ended yesterday. And Becky and I were able to do a presentation about our program. And part of that was to ask the audience, what if you could have just one parameter to describe the lakes, what would it be? And then second question, if you could have just three parameters, what would the three be? And I believe the winner was, let me see, well, I'm going to say what the top four are, and then I'll try to remember what the top one was. Okay, I remember now. So DO temperature profile was one of them. Water temperature was one of them. Secchi distance was one of them. That's a description of water clarity. And then the fourth one was the phosphorus measurement, the phosphorus concentration. And if you could only have one parameter to describe your lake to the public, it was phosphorus concentration. It was a little surprising to me, but I understand it. And I think that the group there is smarter than any individual. And so I trust that that's the right answer. So we're going to be measuring phosphorus concentration, and it's a little bit complicated. So if you can just kind of just bear with me for a moment here. So there's different.
Paul, do you want me to pull up the sheets so you just
Sure.
talk through it? Okay.
Yeah, that's great.
Yeah. Okay. Here.
So there's different forms of phosphorus, and there's a variety of importance, and there's a separate variety of how hard they are to measure. So we're starting with easiest to measure, and we're rapidly moving towards the most important to measure. There's basically 5 different forms of phosphorus concentration, and we're going to be measuring we're starting out with unfiltered lake water and undigested. Undigested means we haven't added acid and heat to break everything down into the raw molecules. It's just, I'm getting off track here. So it's called free reactive phosphorus or total reactive phosphorus. We're calling it total reactive phosphorus, but it goes by a couple names. that's unfiltered. We're working on the filters right now. And I think by the end of April and maybe, hopefully early April, we will have it where we can filter it, and then it will be called SRP, soluble reactive phosphorus. That's the goal. That's what the county measures, and that's what we want to measure, because that's what turns into algae blooms, like immediately. So of the core things we're going to measure, here it is, right on the sheet there. You can see the little star. It says,
And
we're going to
Paul,
start with TRP.
Can we do you want to start on this page? Or you want to start at the top?
I think right there, right where you are.
Okay, perfect.
So you can see TRP, total reactive phosphorus, with the star on it. You just put in the site and you put in the TRP. These are measurements you're getting from the YSA model 9800 photometer. This is, and then you can see the one to the right is SRP. We're not there yet, but that's where we're headed real fast. Then below that, and then we'll scroll up to the top of the sheet. Below that is some weather data. We want to know what was the rainfall in the past 24 hours and what was the rainfall in the past 6 days. The other things on here are optional, but the ones with the stars on them, that's what we want everybody to measure twice a month. So let's just scroll up to the top of the sheet now.
Hey, Paul, I
This
got a
is the-
question for you, sir. How do we
Sure.
get the rainfall? Is there a standard, a base we're using for that for 24 hours, previous 6
Ye-
days?
If you have a good way to do it locally, that's better. Like what I do is I use the O'Hare data because they've got great weather data, and we have a website we can go to, and it's got all that history. So I would say for now, use the O'Hare data, and I'll send out the link to get that. I'll send it out
Well, we'll
one way or
put it all
another.
in the community. As this meeting will be recorded in the community, so you can access it, and we'll also put any reference docs in there.
Perfect, thank you.
So here's the top of the data sheet. So we're putting in the lake name, the date, who's out there, and not just the tech team member, but all the volunteers. Ideally, you have 3 volunteers in my judgment, but you have to have at least 2. If you have just one person going, it's just not safe to be out on the water with just one person. So I would say, as hard as it is to say, if you don't have 2 people out there, I wouldn't go out on the lake. I would miss that measurement. So, and we'll try as hard as we can not to miss the measurement. Then a phone number or an email of the person to contact if there's a question about the data. If you maximum number of people, I can't read that. I would say you don't want really more, because it's a pontoon boat, probably. I'm guessing it's a pontoon boat, maybe not always, but whatever your boat will hold. But I think 3 people's ideal, 2 people minimum. So you can see the stars on here, and you can see the water depth. So we're measuring at 2-foot depths all the way to the bottom. And all our lakes are all different depths. So my lake is only like deepest, I think, 9 feet. So I'll only have a few. And when you measure like this at different depths, that's called a profile. So you have a profile, a vertical profile of the lake, and it changes greatly depending on if your lake has aerators or if your lake is in the spring or the fall or the summer with the isotherm and all kinds of things. So this is a critical thing to have a temperature and dissolved oxygen profile. Dissolved oxygen, you can see in those other 2 columns next to temperature, DO percent or DO milligrams per liter. Both of those they're different ways of expressing the same measurement, and we want both of them. And it's a little bit complicated. I won't distract you with the difference there, but the DO percent is temperature adjusted. Then on the left, we want the Secchi distance, and that's going to be measured in feet. Some people, like, real hardcore science people, are going to measure that in meters, but we want to relate this to the general public, so we're going to go with feet. And the lake depth also in feet. And Jim Bland, I believe, donated a lake depth meter that circulates with the equipment. So it's a very simple instrument to use. Looks a lot like a flashlight, I believe. if you scroll down just a little bit, I think we've covered the whole form here. And I'm gonna leave this for Gerry to add whatever I forgot, since it's 99% his form, and I just wish I could have contributed more, but I did what I could.
Just real quick, for those people who were here last week, you'll see that there's a second page on this. And as Paul went through the phosphate and the weather information, we were just trying to think, okay, here's the one page front and back that would fit what everyone would really need. And as far as the Seiki disc measurements and the depth, I'd say feet and inches, just so you get a total, instead of doing it by just the foot, like the closest foot. I think it was, if you could do feet and inches, that would probably be the best. And maybe I'll make a change to that form and it will say feet/inches. If you want to do a metric, great. I love that. So.
And then there's a second sheet that Gerry made for the custom measurements that each lake will have. So the one that field sheet we just covered, that's what everybody measures. And that's the stuff that's going to get reported out to the public, or at least some of that will be reported out to the public. Okay, I see a question. What does Seki mean? So there's this white disc. It's got white and black, like a checkerboard kind of thing. And it's a measure of water clarity. It's really basic. But it tells a lot. It tells the water quality, and it's the most universal measure of water quality worldwide. And the water on a string, and it's amazing where it'll just disappear and you can't see it anymore. And it's really amazing how you can see it, and then all of a sudden you can't. And then you just measure how much string you left out, and that's the Seki distance. And so I hope that explains it pretty good. There's some YouTubes out there that tell how to do it, and we can easily describe, walk you through it if you're not familiar with it. This is the second page of the field data sheet. This is where it's got lots of categories for recording lots of more information. We tried to make it, I shouldn't say we, Gerry and Jim, I wish I contributed more, but Gerry and Jim made it so that if you have something you want to record, there's a spot to record it. And that's what this is. Different lakes are doing different treatments. And that's why this sheet is very flexible, so that whatever your lake is interested in, there's a place to write it down. These are hard copy paper field data sheets. You put them on a clipboard, you take them out on the boat with you, you fill them in, and they stay at the lake in a notebook, 3-ring binder that you make, and you keep it at the lake with whoever your responsible person is for that lake. And I want to say one more thing about it. I know I'm probably running too long here, but if we go back to that first sheet at the top, where it has all the temperature profile, some people have enough confidence. It's the other sheet, actually, the simpler one, the field sheet 1. So it's got the temperature DO profile here, and we're going to start out writing it down on this sheet. 0 feet, 2 feet, 4 feet. It takes about 30 seconds at each depth, at each location. So you go to a location, and by the way, the data taken for every lake is at one single location only. You can do more, but the one you're reporting that we're going to share with the county is the deepest point in the lake. Has determined if we can get the latitude and longitude from the county for your lake, so we can match our data up to the county's data. We want to be taking it at the same point in the lake, if at all possible. But the deepest point of the lake is where we want to do it. So that those columns, this is a lot of numbers to write down. We want to not, make you write down anything you don't have to. But at the beginning of the program, while we're starting to get organized here, is if the ProDSS, the process is you take the data, then when you get back on shore, you're gonna upload it to the cloud, which is called the KOR software by YSI. And then we're gonna download it to a CSV file, comma separated variable file, probably in Google Sheets. And that's a lot of data manipulation. And I'm just worried that we're going to lose data, especially at the beginning. So at the beginning, we're going to record them in hard copy here. It's basically a duplication. But if we find that we're not losing any data, we won't need to write these down. We'll just trust that the ProDSS is gonna pick them up and put them up to the cloud, and we'll be able to get them into our spreadsheet. I think I covered that.
So Paul, this is Becky. Can I just do a simplified version?
Sure.
So you're going to go out on your assigned day with your equipment that you picked up the night before. You're going to meet your assigned lake person. It's morning. You're going to have this paper copy on a clipboard with you, as well as your cheat sheets. You're going to figure out maybe with the bathymetric scan where the deepest point of your lake is. You're going to use the boat to get to that same spot. You're going to turn on the ProDSS and you're going to lower it at all of these depths. And the ProDSS is going to record these things and you're going to write it down on the paper, as well as the manual SECI with the little black and white disc. You're going to write down the lake depth, etc. Right? And then you'll do the water sample to do the photometer for the phosphorus. And then anything extra that you think is important to measure for the lake.
I forgot to add one thing. So the water sample for the phosphorus, there's what the county does is they take a water sample from 3 feet under the surface. Since our arms are not 3 feet long, at least mine aren't, there's a device called a Van Dorn sampler, which is circulating with the equipment. And it's mine personally, and I'm sharing it with our group here. But it's careful, watch your fingers. It's a thing where you cock it and then you lower it to the depth you want, and then you pull the trigger, which is done by sliding a weight down the string, and it snaps the little doors shut, and then you can pull up a water sample from whichever depth you want. So we're doing 3 feet below the surface, just, and if you have a deep lake, I suggest you also do 3 feet above the bottom. Now, that's not part of our data that we're all taking, but if you have a deep lake, that's a good idea to have 2 measurements of the phosphorus concentration, one at 3 feet below the surface, one at 3 feet above the bottom. I forgot to say that earlier.
Okay, so it sounds like we've got a few notes to add to these sheets, and we're going to be posting these sheets in the community, right, Mary? So people can see it, and we'll print out enough so everyone has a few, and hopefully everyone's prepared to start measuring next week. So we'll get to that.
Could I add something?
Sure,
It's
Gerry.
just that, for the month of April, just think of this as, okay, we're learning this, and if you could learn how to take these measurements with the ProDSS so that you feel comfortable with it. And I was talking to Paul earlier, and if there's, try to view the data right after you take, say, your first measurement at whatever site you're at. Actually, just like go into the view data, and I'll be talking about the procedure in just a couple minutes to confirm that it's actually in your device. That will really be helpful for you, and then you'll feel confident that you can take the measurements and that they're there in the device. And then the uploading I found actually to be pretty simple. Once you plugged it in, it was the software was helpful for that. And I think if you could just think of April as the month that you're figuring this out, because I think it's going to be a lot more important to get the data from May, June, July, and August, because that's where we're going to see some of the big changes.
Can I offer a couple of questions or comments here real quick? Can we please use degrees centigrade instead of Fahrenheit? I mean, I'll live with the feet, but the centigrade is not going to match up other databases, including the county. Okay, as well as scientific literature. So that's a request. Other thing is, time to steady state. So as we go down 2 feet at a time, has anyone done a measurement, or do we need to do that ourselves to figure out, is it 30 seconds? Is it a minute? I would maybe suggest everyone at least tries that a bit to see, get a feel for how long they ought to stabilize at one given depth.
I think we're starting out at 30 seconds.
What?
We're starting out at 30 seconds to stabilize. And the, let's see, YSI, their default is 50 seconds. But so if we try it at 30 and it works, great. If it doesn't, then we gotta wait a little bit longer. I think when we relate this data to the general public, we need to relate it in Fahrenheit. They're not going to, I mean, we're going to publish this data online, and the general public is not going to like it in centigrade. I hear what you're saying, John, on being consistent with the county and things like that. And luckily, once we got it in the spreadsheet, simple calculation, extra column. Now we got it in both, and then that way we can. Maybe there's a way we could. I really think we should record it in Fahrenheit.
Just more importantly, the steady state time, I think 30 seconds is too short based upon my experience doing measurements. I think YSA is on target with a 50-second recommendation. So let's keep that in our back pocket, that we probably want to go longer.
Okay.
Oh, and one thing, the rainfall. So I think, doesn't Waukegan Airport have data? I can check with.
I don't think they do.
Pardon?
I don't think that's a weather station. I think Milwaukee might be.
Okay, but one of our guys, I thought was, I'll look into that. One of our guys was using that because rainfall between here and O'Hare can be quite different.
Right.
I'll take a look into that, see if there's something closer.
There's a weather site called Weather Underground that does collect data probably in your area. And while my own little weather station in my backyard, that's what I end up using because I've got a rain gauge attached to it. But I think if you go to Weather Underground, there might be something very close to you.
We're gonna use a resident weather station.
That's better. If you got something
That's what I
local,
do.
that's
And then
good.
we're gonna put in a staff gauge. We used to have one, but I don't know what happened to it, so we're gonna do a staff gauge, so we'll do that. Okay, thank you.
Yeah, I think we've used NGWAS in the past, NGWOS. And thanks to global warming and how slowly rainstorms move, we can get different readings on either side of the lake. So yeah, I think if you've got somebody on your lake who's participating in NGWAS, or I don't know, Weather Underground, but it'd be good to have your own data for your lake because it's so different these days, the rainfall patterns.
I think both of you, I agree with both of you. If you have local data, that's better than going with O'Hare data. But if you have nothing, O'Hare data is, the best you can do. And what we're doing with that is when you look at maybe a big pop in the phosphorus concentration or an algae bloom, and you notice, oh, well, there was a 4-inch rain, 3 days earlier, and it's washed all this runoff into your lake, and that's what caused the phosphorus concentration to pop and the subsequent algae bloom. That's the kind of thing we're looking to help us understand if we do see a big change in something suddenly, is it tied to that rain? That's kind of what we're looking for. Temperature can also have big effects.
Regarding the phosphorus, the SRP that you're gonna measure, is that digested?
Undigested, but filtered.
Okay, but isn't the SRP or orthophosphate that we get from places like Base Laboratory, isn't that digested?
No, TP, total phosphorus is digested, TP. That's the two big ones are SRP and TP. TP is just, and TP is digested and but not filtered, and SRP is filtered but not digested. And those two are the ones the county tracks. They don't track the other three. and we just don't have the capacity to do TP.
Okay,
It would be
we can
great,
take this
but we can't.
offline, But in the test plan I put in are the specs for the test to get SRP and TP, so maybe I'll go back and check that then. It's my understanding, there's some chemical processing done with SRP. But I'll check and understand that better. Thank you.
Hey, Paul, this is Bob Mazzefi. I have a question regarding starting testing next week. The chain of lakes is still on winter pool, which means we're down about 1.5 feet in water. Tom, were you going to be able to get your boat out and start testing right away? I know we're going to be challenged up north to do that. Tom, you online?
Yep, I am. I had to unmute myself.
What was your plan? Are you going to be able to get out on the water this early?
I think I will be able to. I won't go with the pontoon. I'll go with like a little fishing boat that I've got.
Okay.
But I should be able to, I've never taken it as far as the north end of Fox Lake, so we'll find out. But
All right.
that was my plan to go with that. Otherwise, I've got kayaks, but we've got a lot of distance to cover.
Yeah, because our boat probably won't be in the water till middle of April, so we'll probably miss a couple of weeks.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I would say if you can't get it because of the boat, it's too early in the season to get the boat. Do the measurement off your dock or
Yeah,
somewhere. Just
Doc's not even in yet.
Okay. Well,
Yeah, it's
if
early.
you maybe get a bucket of water, if somehow get a
Yeah,
bucket out of the
whatever.
lake
We'll figure it out.
and do what you can just to get familiar with the equipment and the data form and the process. Even
Okay.
though the data might not be usable, we're going to learn the process, and it's gonna be a little bit of a learning experience here at the beginning.
Okay, got it. Thank you.
So we had next planned to have Gerry walk us through the cheat sheets. So if it's been a little time since you've used the two pieces of equipment, a lot of work has gone into kind of something that can be laminated and right alongside with you. So Gerry, if you want to say, maybe not in great detail, but just to kind of do a quick flyover, what I'm hoping that we get to today is hearing from everybody on when's your first scheduled measurement and to make sure that everybody knows where to go to get the equipment. So I want to get that completed before 1:45 if we can.
Okay.
So
So
go ahead, Gerry.
I guess first I would probably say my preference is, this is as a retired teacher, maybe we shouldn't call them cheat sheets. I don't think that's
Okay, perfect. What would you, reference sheets? You
really just
decide what to call them.
even like procedures or
Perfect.
lab procedures or I tried to make these procedures so that understanding that there's the technical people and then there's going to be people who are really less familiar with the technology of all this. So I tried thinking of, okay, what would people need to see and where it could be self-explanatory if you just follow the directions step by step. So that's what I tried to do. And this is the photometer where you can measure the phosphate. And this could also measure a few other items as well. But the phosphate is the big one for us. So I tried to include step-by-step directions. And I think if you follow those, that would be really, really helpful. And I included pictures. I thought that would be helpful for people to just see, okay, what was going on in different ones. Thanks for zooming in on that. I made some slight changes from even last week. Just like in this one on number 8 in the recording of the data, I was trying to get a little bit more specific about some items and the cleaning of the equipment. I know I explained that last week as well, but I think it's just, I think if you follow through with this, I think it'll be very self-explanatory. I did include in both devices the names of every lake. So if you look at instruction number 5 there, it says click to add a label, and it already includes every lake in there. You may just have to scroll a little bit on this device, but it's also in the ProDSS. So so the intent was to make it follow it. Maybe this is the way I would have taught my sophomores in chemistry, just like, okay, an overview of the procedure, here's where the equipment is, and thinking that they could get along. Let's scroll down to the ProDSS.
Okay. Yep, that's here. So if we go down,
Okay.
this is a recap, by the way, of Gerry's excellent teaching last week, which many of you were at. So I just wanted you to know you can actually hear his whole instructions with Sandy there and Debbie looking on if you want the video preference, but the ProDSS. And this has links to take you to the exact sheets within Gerry's Drive.
Right. So I've got everything on Google Drive. And so we could make adjustments to things pretty easily. Paul and I were talking about that. So if we realize that something is missing or something needs more explanation, it's something that we could do. The ProDSS, I mean, this is going to look like a complex device in many ways, but it really is pretty powerful. And so that in the bottom left-hand corner there, that's basically the device. The sonde, the big long thing, is about 18 inches long, and there are 4 sensors down near the bottom behind that metal protective piece. And so I think just being very careful with this and just learning how it works, again, following the directions would be very important in this one. Could you scroll up to the top a little bit there?
Oops.
And Gerry and Paul, everybody on this call now has completed training on both of these pieces of equipment, true?
Correct. And I only want to point out the procedures just because I think the first training, this procedure wasn't really out there. So this is the procedure of the ProDSS, if that helps. And I think as you're going through step by step, you'll see in like when John was talking about the 30-second sampling time, we could change this to a 50-second if that's necessary. And it's just at the moment when we were actually practicing it with it, the 30 seconds seemed to be appropriate. And then once you actually start using the device, it self-times at 30 seconds. And after that time, it says measurement is locked. And then all you have to do is click enter down near step 2, and then it's getting ready to log that information. Then you hit enter again. So if you can just test it in April, try to figure things out by following the directions, I think it's pretty good. If there's something that is wrong or something that needs to be updated, contact me directly. It would be great because I could make the changes pretty quickly. If you explain them to me, I could try to adjust them. But this has gone through, I'm going to say 4 or 5 iterations just to try to improve it. And so hopefully this is a good direction. One of the things I did mention earlier is this view data section that's up there right now. This is when you're on the boat, right after you take your first set of measurements, you can go right into the device, and in the upper right-hand corner, there's something called file. Actually, that image down on the bottom right, that darker image, the upper right-hand corner says file. If you click on file, then it brings you to some options where you can enter in the location. And now we're looking at that blue screen right above it. You can enter in the location, the site, the date and the time. And then you can see right then and there if you recorded all of that information. So I know this looks a little bit on the complex side, but once you start using it, I think you'll find that is pretty helpful. The other thing I added, I think, go to the next page. I think there's a little bit more information on cleaning. So after even last Tuesday, I was talking to Jim Bland, and I had a wash bottle with tap water to rinse off the device. And so as we were walking back to my house, he said, one thing you should really add in is number 5, wash with mild soapy solution and something that's non-abrasive, and then rinse, just to make sure you're really getting rid of anything else and you're not bringing it to another lake. And maybe it would be wise to, even once you get the device the night before, just, you could use a non-phosphate soap And so many soaps are non-phosphate now, just to make sure it's clean. All right, is that enough? All right. If you have questions, please contact me.
Here, one question that I think everybody'd be interested in. So with that soapy solution, are we removing the sensor guard or we're not removing the sensor guard?
I did not remove the sensor guard.
I think that's safe.
Yeah. What I did, so after I got back to the house, I actually made another little squirt bottle with soap solution, and I was just spraying all the way through and into the sensors, and then I rinsed it right then and there at my sink. So there was no grunge to actually take off.
I have a question. If we're supposed to take all these measurements in the deepest part of the lake, is there like 40 feet of cord there to do?
30 feet.
30
30 feet's
feet.
maximum.
Okay, so it doesn't matter if we're, whatever it is, we're measuring only down to 30 feet.
Good point.
And another point, it does capture all of the height and depth and GPS locations. So you're not needing to, figure out where that is. It tells you.
Right, you can just read it on the screen. It will tell you how far down you are.
Okay, yeah. Yeah, our lake is deeper than 30 feet, so I was just wondering. Okay.
Good question. Becky, you're next, I think.
Sure, and I'm happy to share. So this was in the emailed invite. It's also in the community, but we wanted to propose the schedule for the week. Which lake is having it? Who do you go pick the equipment up from? If you were with us on February 6th, back at the Fremont Library, there was still some discussion around, might we leverage the Ecological Services Office? If we do that, it prevents us using the equipment on the weekends. So right now we're going to try this. And what I'd love to hear from everyone is, what do you think? Could this work for you? So I'll share my screen. And I'm just going to pull up a Word document. And it's here on my screen. Is this large enough for people to see?
No,
No,
needs to be.
How about that?
It's a little hard.
How's
That's good.
that? Okay, so imagining a 7-day week. And if you were at Fremont Library, we asked everyone, what's the best day of the week? If you're still working, if you're retired, etc. So we tried our best to match up your monitoring day with when we could give you the equipment. And again, so when we say equipment, you're going to get the ProDSS, you're going to get the photometer, maybe you're going to have a 5-gallon bucket, and you're going to have a clipboard and these laminated sheets. So imagine that's what you've got. So on Sundays, it's going to Lake Leopold. Adina Ott is taking the lead. Adina, I would love to know if we've got a cell phone number for you or Andy that we can use to improve communications versus a landline. And the person that would have the equipment prior to you on Saturday night would be Diana Bush, and she's located up in
Lake Villa.
Lake Villa. Sorry, I'm just it's been a long day. So let me just drop that down there so we can see Lake Villa. So then Gerry, you've got it on Monday to do your 2 lakes, Loch Lomond, and then you're also doing St. Mary's. I'm not sure why St. Mary's didn't get added to this, but that's a good thing that we'll add. You would then be going to Adina and Grays Lake to pick up the equipment. So let me I don't know if I want to pause after each of these. It's sort of self-explanatory. We sent this out in the email. Buzz, you're going to be starting things off up north on Catherine and Channel, picking it up from Gerry and Mundelein the night before, doing your 2 lakes, hopefully quickly, and then somehow passing it off to Tom Morgan to finish up on the Fox chain with Fox, Pistachio, and Redhead. Dan, who's not with us tonight, is going to be supporting Island Lake, and Tom, I don't have your address, so if you can put that in the chat so we can update this, that's going to allow Dan to know where to find you to pick up the equipment on Tuesday night. And then Paul is going to go find Dan because Paul's got it on Thursdays to do Countryside. And then Debbie, you're supporting Long Lake. You would be going out to Mundelein to pick it up from Paul, and Diana would be going to pick it up from Debbie in Grays Lake. So this is a proposal, and what's coming next now is I'm going to ask each person to take the floor, give us an update on when do you plan to have your first measurement to make sure you know where to get the equipment and if you have any questions. And just for a time check, we've got what, 11 minutes, maybe 15 if we run a little bit. Our next meeting is starting at 7 tonight. So I'll stop sharing this. And Gerry, why don't I start with you? What's your planned first measurement for both your lake, Loch Lomond, as well as St. Mary's?
Well, I thought it was next Monday, aren't we?
Yes. I just
Okay.
want to make sure that you're good. Now, I know you just connected with Gerard from the health department yesterday. Is Gerard good to meet you next Monday at St. Mary's?
I don't know. And
Okay.
I don't have a boat for Loch Lomond right now, so I may be doing something off a pier. I'm familiar with the equipment too,
Yes.
so that part is fine. And I know where Adina lives. Is Adina
And
going to be home?
Adina doesn't have the equipment. She's in Las Vegas. Mary has it.
So, but I could go to Las Vegas to pick it up, but
There you go. So we could ship it to Las Vegas so you can go pick it
All
up.
right.
All right. So you're going to get it. You're going to go out on Monday, March 24th, and you're going to reach out to Gerard Urbanozo at the health department. He does have access to a boat at St. Mary's. So you guys can coordinate the best time for Monday, the 24th.
sounds good.
Okay. And then curious about April. Have you thought at all about April dates or not yet?
Yes and no. The person who I usually go out with will not have his boat in the lake until I think sometime like the 16th of April.
Okay.
So there's going to be little issues there too. I am looking to
Right.
see if I can find another boat.
Perfect. And we're trying to get our April kickoff to be the week of April 6th. So since you're a Monday, you would be on April 7th. And I know Adina's patiently waiting in Arizona somewhere. Would you be back, Adina, to do Lake Leopold on Monday, April 6th?
It's Sunday.
I'm sorry, Sunday, April 6th.
Sunday, April 5th is my first planned measurement.
Sunday, April 5th. I have Sunday as the 6th of April.
Okay, whatever day it is.
Perfect.
Yes,
That's when you're doing it. All right. Perfect. You're groovy.
Great.
All right. And then we go to Gerry on Monday. Actually, so maybe Gerry, you'll find a way to also go out on Monday, April 7th for your second measurement.
Yes.
Perfect. Okay, then moving to you, Buzz. You're our Tuesday person. You kick things off in the Fox chain, picking up from Gerry the night before. Do
Jerry,
you think
what
you can go out on Tuesday, the 25th of March for your practice run?
we can do it on a pier per se. And that boat won't be in the
Perfect.
water at that stage. Jerry, what time will it be available to pick up?
It depends on, I have never been out on St. Mary's Lake, so
All right.
I'm not sure what Gerry Urbanozo's timing is.
All right.
But I could contact you as soon as I know.
Perfect. Perfect. Yeah, let me know.
Perfect. Love it.
And the other question I got is, Tom, are you better in the afternoons or are you better in the morning? What's better for your schedule, sir? Right now, it looks like you're afternoon.
Probably
Perfect.
better in the afternoon.
All right, so I got the morning shift. So what I can do is have it done and have it on my doorstep. So you can pick it up, say
Okay.
noon. In case I'm not home, I'd have it on the front door. It's Ring camera, so we can see if someone comes that shouldn't be there. Does that work for you?
That works for me.
Perfect. Our goal, we have purchased Apple AirTags to just help us track things down. So just an FYI, we're hoping to have those ready to rock and roll. If we don't by next week, we hopefully will soon.
And then
So
we can get on schedule every Tuesday. So if we're doing it the 8th, then we'd be the 22nd.
yeah,
Hopefully the
so
boat should be in the water by the 22nd.
Beautiful. So then you guys are Tuesday, so I'm thinking you're April 8th and April 22nd.
Yeah, and it just keeps rolling on from there.
Yep, that's,
And
you know,
I'll be AM and Tom is PM. Tom, you pick it up from my doorstep. If there's a
Yep.
problem, Tom, I'll let you know that something's going haywire.
yes, exactly. Adina, I just wanted to point out, if we still followed this schedule, your Sunday, April 6th, 2 weeks later is Sunday, April 20th, which is Easter Sunday. I don't know if that's going to be a problem for you. So if it is, maybe we can come up with, you know, going to the 27th or something like that for you. Okay, I'm going to keep going. All right, Dan's not with us, but Island Lake would have it on Wednesday. We'll check in with him separately. Paul, you're Thursday, and your plan then is to start on Thursday, April 10th?
Correct. Thursday, April 10th, I'm gonna measure with the photometer, I'm gonna measure 3 feet below the surface at the deepest point. I'm also gonna measure at my inlet and the dam, so the inlet and the outlet, and I'm gonna use the ProDSS only at the deepest point for
Okay.
my first measurement.
Okay, and so you're April 10th, and then you'll be April 24th for April. Okay. And Debbie, thank you for helping us get Long Lake supported. We've got you on Fridays, and so Friday, March 28th would be your practice run on Long Lake. Does that work for you, Debbie?
That's fine.
Okay, and do you want any extra help for your first time, like? with
I
teachers
definitely do.
available? Okay, I don't
What
know, I
time
know
are you
Paul's,
thinking?
That Gloria is on Long Lake too?
yes. What's
Gloria,
a good time?
do we go together?
Yeah, I think so.
Okay.
What time,
Perfect.
what time are we looking at on the 28th?
I'm pretty open, so morning would be good.
We're targeting 9 a.m. measurements,
9
so can I just jump in for 1 second? So the pH and the DO oscillate daily. And so we're trying to catch it at a uniform time every day. So we're trying to hit 9 a.m. on all the measurements. It's not too early, but it's not too late, but it's still morning. So all night long, the the um, the oxygen level has been declining, and as we're trying to catch it soon after sunrise. And rather than getting super complicated, we're just trying to target 9 a.m. And that's why.
And
So it's
Debbie-
important to have it at 9 a.m. every time then? We can't like switch
It-
and do another time? Okay.
It's important to have it the same time every
Sure.
time. It's better to have it at 9 a.m. or in the morning. But it's most important to have it at about the same time every time.
I'm only saying morning because that Friday was my only day that was the hardest day for me. But
Oh.
only because in the summer I have grandchildren on Fridays. Not all Fridays, but many. So I figured if I did it early, I could still figure out getting to the grandkids.
Oh, that's so kind of you to try to juggle that. I appreciate that.
So
So maybe 8 is better. I don't know, Gloria, are you a morning person?
I can still do 9. My grandchildren are a little bit older, so finally they're 8 and 11, so they can stay at home with their dad who works at home until I get there.
So maybe it's arriving around 8 or 8:30 so that
Mhm.
you're
And
collecting the
Debbie-
water or whatever.
And where is Debbie picking this up at?
Yeah, I'm gonna pick it up at Paul's. Is there a good time, Paul?
Anytime. I mean,
You're-
I don't work. I'm at home all the time. So
Okay, so I'll just contact you and let you know when I'm coming over.
And
Okay.
Debbie, it's
Yep.
hard to see this, and we're going to show you a calendar view in a minute, but Paul's in Arizona, so he's not going to be measuring this next week. So you would
Oh.
actually have to get it from Tom Morgan.
Okay.
So I wanted to ask, I would
Mhm.
like to propose setting up a group chat with myself to help us stay connected. I don't know how people feel about that. I don't know if it's going to be too noisy or not, but it's an idea that I had to sort of try to support everybody. And also for us to hear things like, hey, like, for example, Adina and Paul, we're going to go out, maybe John and Andy on the 16th. That was Sunday last week. And if remember the weather, it was 32 degrees and snowing. So I think about 6 o'clock that morning, they called and said, this isn't safe for us to go out and try to get this March measurement before Adina and Andy went out to Las Vegas. So there's going to be that. The weather is not going to always cooperate. And so now the equipment might have moved to the next place, or maybe the weather's getting called the night before and it's not moving. So as much as we think we've got this figured out, there's still room for shifts, and so just keeping each other up to date as to what's happening will be helpful. So then Debbie, you'll get it from Tom Morgan, and you'll
Okay.
have the whole day of Thursday, the 27th, to go get it, because Paul won't be doing anything on Thursday. Okay, and last but not least, Diana. So Diana, your first day is going to be, you've told me, the 29th,
Saturday,
right?
the 29th, yes.
Yay. And so you'll get it from Debbie.
Friday evening, I guess, or afternoon,
Yes.
whatever works.
That's
Right.
Yeah, that's
Whichever.
good. My
Yeah.
address was spelled wrong, just so you know.
Perfect.
It's
Let's fix it.
Sulkey,
No
Sulkey,
I.
Sulkey Drive.
Perfect. I'm glad you noticed it. Any other edits to our form so we can make this more accurate?
One comment is that week of April 13th, we're targeting to have Hay and Associates, our environmental engineering firm, come out and make a full, we'll be doing water sampling and profiling and everything. So if there's a desire to get some correlation testing and to run the ProDSS anytime, let me know and I'll try to do what I can to coordinate a date.
Thank you. And the equipment is not supposed to be in use that week, but of course that assumes that we have perfect weather the week of April 6th and no one needs a rain date.
Okay.
So will you be there all 5 days?
Who should I contact? Should I contact Paul or who's?
I would like to be there. What's that date again, John?
The week of April 13th.
We haven't picked a date, but that's what we're targeting, is the week of the 13th.
I will do whatever I can to try and be there at whatever day they're sampling, so we can correlate data as you described.
Okay, that's a great idea. Okay, let's lean into this. So after today, I will create a group chat. I'll label it as such. It will be important for all of us to add each other as contacts, so we're not just a sea of numbers, but you know who we're talking to. I'm doing a time check. We have 15 minutes left till we begin our 7 o'clock Away with Geese monthly program. Mary, do you feel comfortable taking 5 minutes and showing the calendar?
You want to show the calendar or the map? I think the map was next on the agenda. Just
okay, let's show the map.
We can do either. So
I'm going to excuse myself. Okay.
Okay, John,
Okay.
sure. Thank
John,
you so
great to
much.
see you.
It was wonderful
So-
to have you.
And John, you guys are on the map, so just be aware, there's a Google map out here where you can find yourselves right here, Lake Leopold, and we're happy to put up different pictures for everyone, but just a quick overview. We all know the whole goal of this program is to bring greater visibility to our lakes and to get decision quality data that can be acted upon. And we envision something that will be publicly available and are looking at ways to transport the information from the Excel spreadsheets from the core to Excel, as Paul said. And right now we just have your reports, your plans that you provided, a bathymetric report, as well as data that the health department provided from SECI and nutrient levels from 2020. We got the report in 2024, so it was either 2023 or 2022, but we're going to revisit this at another point. I just wanted you all to be aware that this is available. It's linked in that in your agenda as 2025 pilot map. And we tried to place these markers where they sit right in the middle of the lake, hopefully where you'll be sitting, but anyway, this is here, and hopefully July 17th, we hope you'll all mark your calendars, because we have an event right at Docks in Wakanda where we're going to convene everyone and show what's happening with these lakes, ideally with a poster board or 2 to 3 minutes where you talk about what you learned through your measurement, and we network and we bring the whole county together to say it really helps to have data on our lakes and to know what's going on. So we want to celebrate you and ask that you also we have a save the date reminder in the community, and we'll be sending stuff out so that you can invite all of your people from your HOA to come celebrate you. So secondly, the community, Becky said, this is part of the Global Waterworks platform, and we developed this platform because of how difficult it is for water projects to get done. There's no Switzerland, but there's so many stakeholders. So when you come to the community, you can find our projects. Our lake restoration is one of the major ones. And the reason why we're focused on that is because we found solutions that were not available for solving the algae problems across the world. And these are described in the main page on our website. But within the community, when you join, you just go join the community, you will be brought into the general space. And right now, I'm sitting in the Lake Lover team because that's the invitation we sent out to each of you. And on the left-hand side of this page, you will see all the Global Waterworks detail. Let me just move this over. Sorry, just a second here. And there's a left-hand side, which will take you into the broader Global Waterworks community. But on the right hand here, where you see the course community, you have content for our meeting. We mentioned we want to avoid your having to go through a bunch of emails, or you're wondering what's going on ever, or wondering like what did Gerry give us last week? So each of these meetings, we hope to have all the detail provided in here. It may take us a few days, but we also welcome others to contribute content, as you're going to hear from Gerry in just a moment on what he's doing with the Away with Geese program. But then we can all comment, and add additional. See, we got 12 comments here on how to do the ProDSS calibration. That's pretty amazing discussion, you guys. And so that's a really cool part of this platform. And I included here an email string, but there were also additional comments down below and nice discussions. So thank you all for your contributing. Thank you also for adding your photos, because your profiles allow you to be known and also give details on the type of work you're doing. So for instance, Paul put together his Lakeshore resident, who he is, and then you can start to see similar people in the community. And you can also earn badges as part of this. Once you pass Gerry's test, you will get a citizen science. No, I think this is the water quality expert badge. And if you go out and help high schools, you'll get a sustainability badge. So we want you to know that you earn points with us. And you can also get an immediate badge and be an ambassador just by inviting 2 people into the community. And you have to use this little icon here and either copy the link or just go find other invite info options and put in an email to a friend with a little note. So there's a lot here. I don't want to bog you down with what's going on in the community, but I just shared. Go ahead, Becky. You had a question.
And could you just click on events and show everybody our monitoring calendar?
Yeah. And there's also a course in development. Because what we're doing every day, you would have a learning. We learned something, and Jim Bland put this Understanding Lake Data guidance document in here. And then last week, so we're going to create a course out of what you're going through. And this can be iterative. And Becky mentioned events. So we want to make it easy for you to stay apprised and for you to change dates. So we ask that each of you go in. Gerry, if you could say, yes, I'm going to the Loch Lomond measurement. And the way you do that is just RSVP right here to say you're going. And then you'll be able to add that to your calendar, get directions to where it is, because we actually put in the lake pickup place for each of you so that you can see the next person or go to the following person and see that data. And then, so as you go in, Buzz, you'll want to say yes to Catherine and Channel, and you can also get a big view of this by clicking on the calendar, and you'll see the flow, who's going, so that you don't have to remember, and then we can change the dates. And Becky and I, for the near term, will change the dates if you have changes, or you can say, hey, when's the next place I could get in? And by starting everyone on the 6th, a brilliant idea of Becky's, it makes it look like we're all together, even though our calendars go first and third changes. What's nice is we will have you going with these weeks to start so that we have a smooth flow and check the logistics. And so that is was there any questions on the community or what you're seeing
So
here?
I would really love to hear from folks. This is a great resource. It takes a little bit. You got to go in there and find it and accept these invites, but it's going to allow then these reminders to show up on your personal calendars. We
Sorry.
surely want to support you knowing, how to get liftoff. So we have, probably it's time for us now to wrap up. I just want you to know that I'm here, Mary's here, Paul is here to support you feeling successful. There's still enough time to get extra help, and we just couldn't do this without everyone. So I just am grateful that everyone said yes to this volunteer opportunity. There's a lot of interest in this, and we're really excited. And give yourself grace. This isn't about getting it perfect. It's about learning how to do this and feeling comfortable. And as Gerry said, our lakes are really going to start telling us exciting things perhaps when May rolls around. So we've got a few weeks here. And just again, as a reminder, on Earth Day, which is also Andy and Adina's wedding anniversary, we're going to be gathering at a very cool science room at Paul's Spiewak's house in Mundelein for an in-person tech team meeting. You don't want to miss this. Beverages and some snacks will be there, and this will be a time for us to check in with each other, hear how it's going, what can we change to make it better. So please make sure you've got that evening reserved. It's Earth Day, April 22nd. And watch for the group chat. And if you haven't already navigated into the tech team area and the events to accept your calendar holds, please see if you can do that. And if you want some extra help, reach out to me or Mary. We'd love to help you get those on your calendar. Okay, we are 6 minutes away from 7 o'clock. So do we just stay on this call, Mary, and it turns into the 7 o'clock?
No, we have to go. I've set up a separate registration so we get everyone's login for that one because that's a public Zoom. So here it is. But you can go log in here. It's March 20th -geese. And
Okay, thank you for
let me
that.
just put this in the chat here to everyone. And if you go in there, if you haven't yet registered, amazing. They're going to talk about geese and beavers. And I don't know if beaver is plural already. Do we see?
A beaver.
Beaver.
Okay.
So then, and they're also, Gerry's going to share an amazing model for tracking the history of your lake and creating lake resources to educate the homeowners, which is really beautiful. So it's a long night, but I applaud you all and just want you to know Xylem and the ILMA people, the Illinois Lakes Management people, said it was amazing to see the progress. They said they could not believe the amount of detail orientation and the opportunity we have. So everyone's looking to us as the potential recreation of the volunteer lakes management with decision quality data. And so you are an amazing test bed and all of you bring unique resources. So I just say applause, applause. Thank you, Becky, for kicking us off, and Paul and Gerry for those. Gerry's the chair from New Trier, and he put together the guidance documents in a way that you knew you were being taught by a professor.
Yes, it's awesome.
So,
Yay.
all
Look
of you
what we
bring
can
that
do when we're all
expertise.
working together. It's amazing. So you guys, kudos to all of you. Copy the link before we close this meeting and then join us now here in a few minutes. Well, Gerry's gonna tell us some great success stories.
Yep. Bill,
All
we're
right.
going to this other site. So see that link there? We need to
In the
register
chat.
for in the chat, bit.ly. You got it?
Okay, we'll see you all over
See you
there.
soon.
Thanks,
Okay.
everyone.
I
Thanks.
won't be there.
Oh, sorry. We'll miss you. We'll have a recording.
Okay.
Thank you,
Okay.
everyone.